Okay, good evening, everyone. Namaskar. Welcome, everyone, for this very, very beautiful session. Today, we are starting it at 7 p.m. in the evening, and हम सबको मालूम है कि आज का सेशन हम 6 बजे के बजाय 7 p.m. पे क्यों स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं because we need to, take care of the international timings also. And let's welcome, very dear colleagues of our. Carolyn is here on the call with us all the way from US, and then we have our international leader Michael Callejas who will be talking to all of us. आज हम सबसे बात करेंगे और ये इससे पहले भी he has been there with us guiding us on some business building parameters of USANA. और बहुत ही आई वुड से लर्निंग इनपुट्स रहते हैं माइकल के बिकॉज हिज एक्सपीरियंस हैज बीन सो स्ट्रॉन्ग विद यूसाना and look at his achievements. He has been the 3-star diamond director with USANA, and it's always great to listen to you, Michael. And we really thank you for taking out the time. We are in different time zones, and but you're always there, always be there for guiding our Indian brand partners. And just to tell you, Michael, we recently launched our frontline sales bonus a week back, and this is a new addition to our compensation plan, though it's a business promotion for 13 weeks, but it's directly in, linked with that. They can earn additional other than the matching commission, which is a weekly commission. Anything which they directly sponsor in a week, on the sales volume point, a direct sponsor will be able to earn 10% additional CVP over and above the matching and over and above all the benefits which they're getting out of the a fixed compensation model. So this was something which is very, very attractive, which we are focused in the month of July. Everyone has gone through the trainings, but yes, the important role is if people are onboarding, if people are joining, if brand partners are bringing new brand partners under them, how to retain them, it's very, very important. So recruitment plus retention, these two R's are the focus of the day. एंड वी वुड लुक फॉरवर्ड हाउ वी कैन डिस्कस मोर ऑन दैट. और मैं आप सब लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा जब माइकल अपना सेशन शेयर करें, प्लीज़ उनको ध्यान से सुनिएगा. और आपके अगर कोई भी क्वेश्चंस हो, आप प्लीज़ चैट बॉक्स पे टाइप करिएगा. एंड इन द लास्ट 10 minutes वी विल ऑल्सो टेक क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर. सो माइकल विल कीप टाइपिंग इन द चैट बॉक्स, and in the last 10 minutes we can take the questions also if they have any, right? So giving you back, Michael, over to you. You can share the screen.
Okay, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Yeah, let me just go ahead and share my screen here really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me on. It's always a pleasure to share good ideas and help people in this business because to me it's been a true gift. I'll give you guys a little bit of my backstory, just so we're not complete strangers. You kind of know where I'm coming from. But what we're going to talk about is building that retention in your network marketing business, which is yeah, probably the most challenging. I think of all the things, as you mentioned, Vikrant, it's enrolling people, but not just bringing them in. It's hard to bring them in. It might be even harder to keep them in. And if you can't keep them in, you can bring in 1,000, but it doesn't make a difference because there's never going to be that exponential growth. So I'll give you guys a little bit about my backstory. But I grew up in Los Angeles, and I went to college at UC San Diego. I majored in math and economics, and really my whole goal was just to have a better life. My parents, they immigrated to the United States back in the 70s, and their story is a lot more impressive than mine by far. They struggled really to come to the United States. They were fleeing a communist regime in El Salvador at the time. There was a civil war going on. There was a lot going on. So they immigrated to the United States, and they already had my older brother. So imagine immigrating from one country to another. You don't know the language. You don't have any friends there. You don't have any money. You don't have any skills. My mom at the time was 18 years old. My dad was 19 years old. So they were teenagers. I can only imagine what they were thinking. But they took that chance. They said, we're going to go for it. And they moved to the States. I was born in the 80s, 1982. So I was born in the United States. I was the first child born in America for my family. So it was a pretty big deal for us, but expectations were high. So one of the things that they preached was education. You're not going to get anywhere without your education. So that's what I focused on. So I locked in. I was really, really focused, spent all my time in school, reading, studying, making sure I was getting good grades. and ultimately finishing school. That was a big thing. So I was never really a smart kid, but you know, I work hard, and I think that compensates a lot for somebody who lacks maybe natural ability. I think sometimes people think like, oh, that person's just lucky, or that person's, you know, just gifted, right? We hear that a lot in this world, but no gift and no skill is going to overtake hard work and consistency. I think that's always going to be the winner when it comes to any project. You can be talented, you can be gifted, but if you don't have that hard work ethic, you don't have that commitment, that dedication, it's not going to work out. And that's true in anything. I think that's true here in our USANA business as well. I've seen people who are gifted speakers, very charismatic individuals. Like they look like they're born leaders, and sometimes they don't have success here. And I wonder, like, why is it? You have everything going for you. You should have the success here, but it's more than that. You know, it takes consistency, it takes dedication. So I'll share with you guys when I first got involved. One of the things that we're going to talk about today is retention, right? So I was enrolling people, but the big thing about getting people started was you want to keep them in. So how do you keep them in? I'll give you guys three tools that will help you guys increase your retention. Okay. So just three tools. That's what we're going to cover today. And I'll kind of bake it into my story. And I know you guys have some promotions going on right now that will definitely help. I think that can help ignite something. It can help kind of give you guys a boost. But in the end, we can't rely on these little incentives and bonuses. They're great tools. Definitely take advantage of them. But in the long run, though, it's going to be these three tools that I'm going to share with you guys. Okay. So this is me at my first convention. I mean, this is an older picture. I feel like you guys are using some very old photos. I know I have a full beard right now. I was just on vacation. I just came back to my house. So yeah, I didn't shave, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll keep the beard for a little while. We'll see what happens. But in this picture, as you guys can see, I'm new. Don't have a big team, just started, not making a lot of income. It was literally just very excited. I was very excited. And the reason why I was excited was because I saw an opportunity. I knew that all the hard work that I was putting into my job when I first got started, if I just put in some of that effort into my business, that I could have the potential to have something beautiful, something special. So think of it this way. Jim Rohn always says, if you work hard at your job, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. So I think that's something key to think about as we move into the rest of this presentation is learn how to work hard on yourself. That's a big part of this. So when I got these people involved, when I say work hard on yourself, like what do I mean exactly? Of course, your mindset, your skills, your strategy, things like that. But let's start with the mindset real quick. As you guys can see in this photo, there's a few people, but not everybody looks happy in this photo. There's some people that look a little bit, you know, serious or not so happy. They just look like normal, right? Um, and if you look, like I'm pretty excited in this photo. There's a couple people that are pretty excited in this photo, and I think that says a lot. So at this time, none of these people were rank advanced. Nobody was like a diamond director or anything like that. But the person in the suit, his name is Vincent Chan. When I saw him at the convention, I was like, "Hey, how did you do it? You know, how did you become successful?" He goes, "Work hard." I'm like, "I know, but tell me the secret." He goes, "Be committed." I was like, "I know, but tell me the secret," right? Like he's giving me all this information, but at the end of the day, like I wasn't getting the answer that I was looking for because I'm looking for something easy. Like give me the trick. There's got to be some trick, like magic to make it work. There is no trick. There is no magic. Okay. I know sometimes people think like if I know this, then I could do it. It's like there's nothing like that. But I worked at it, of course, helped develop my team. And at the very two conventions later, actually, you guys can see that my team had grown. Okay. So my team had picked up some momentum. So we started getting a lot of people involved, keeping them in, etc. And then a couple of conventions later, you guys can see that we had grown even more. So as you guys can see, like I'm showing you guys these photos because it's good to document your journey, just so you guys get an idea of what retention can do. And these are people that came to the convention. So that's what you're looking for, right? Is to really build a team, bringing them to big events, making sure people are getting the most out of it, you're cohesive, you're all growing together. Like it's a team game. You know, the person that has the biggest team usually wins. And the reason why is because one person can only do so much. So think of it this way. If you're trying to sell $100,000 worth of product, right, every week, how do you do something like that? $400,000 worth of product every month. How do you do something like that? It's very, very challenging to do with a team of 5 people. But if you have a team of 500 people or 1,000 people, now you're talking, right? If everybody's selling $400, that's how you really get that momentum. So the team grew. And as a result, of course, the success grows. So I'm not sharing this stuff with you to impress you. It's more so to hopefully inspire you, right? Because why are we working here? Like everybody has their own goals. For me, it was to have financial freedom, but it was also to have time freedom. I'm still traveling now. Like that's where my goals are now. You know, obviously looking to eventually start a family, but the goals are really just to continue to see the world. There's so much to offer. And I feel like that's what makes me happy. You know what I mean? That's what really fills my soul. So the next trip coming up, just so you guys know, I'll be in about 2 weeks from now, I'll be in Chile. If you guys know where Chile is, it's in South America. I'll be going to Easter Island, which has been a big goal of mine for a long time. And during COVID, things kind of got complicated to travel to Easter Island, but things have opened up again. So I'm going, okay? And that's it. And I'm really, really excited about this trip. So, anyways, I'll share photos with you guys another time. But why am I sharing all this? Because the goal is to be able to live your dream. What is your dream? What are your goals? And what is it going to take to accomplish it? I think it takes three things: time, money, and health. You need those three things to accomplish any goal. So our business provides that. You know, you can be healthy, you can create time freedom, and you can create income. So, anyways, that's my life story in a nutshell. I don't want to bore you guys with it, but I just wanted to kind of go over it really quick. So, to build some lifestyle like that, you're going to need retention on some levels. So, why retention matters? So retention really matters because what it's going to do is it's going to build stability and long-term growth. If you don't have retention, you're not going to have a stable business. You'll see your income is going to fluctuate a lot. Sometimes you're making a lot of money, sometimes you're making zero. And that type of inconsistency could be, it could be detrimental, right? Because sometimes people want to build a family, buy a home, finance a vehicle, travel. And if your income is inconsistent, it's not stable, it's hard to plan a life around inconsistent income. So retention is going to build that steady income. Recruiting grows the team, which is very important. And I like the bonus you guys have right now. It's going to help you guys build that team, but retention builds that legacy. Okay. So you need to be able to build the legacy through retention. Last is it keeps momentum high and team culture strong. You can't build momentum unless you have retention. Because let's say you add 10 people and then you lose 10 people. Next week, you add 10 people and then you lose 10 people. So now what you have is you're just adding and subtracting. The goal is to multiply, right? So if you add 10 and maybe five drop, but five stay, and then you add 10 more the next week, okay, now you have 15, right? Then you're starting to see that growth and that development. Now, some people think like retention is an issue in our business and that's it. Not true. There's retention in every business, whether you're a coffee shop or a restaurant or a car manufacturer, it doesn't matter. Every company is always looking on how to retain their customers, how to retain people coming back and buying their products or services. So retention really does matter. Okay. So tool number one, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it, right? Okay, so tool number one. So personal growth, personal development. That's going to be your number one tool for retention, believe it or not. Okay. So personal growth equals team growth. When individuals grow, teams thrive. So invest in the mindset, invest in that skill set and action plans. Some examples is doing weekly mindset calls. So just with the teams that I'm working with, I don't work with everybody at once. It's hard to work with everybody at once because you can't connect and understand with everybody at once. But right now I'm working with a team of about 10. And right now we do weekly calls, we do book clubs, podcast recaps, we do things like that to make sure that they're growing and developing. One thing that I'm a big advocate for is Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is probably the best business trainer we've had, not just in direct selling, but just in anything. He is an extraordinary individual. So if you don't have Jim Rohn audios on your YouTube or on your iPhone or whatever, highly recommend it. Okay. You'll see that if people are listening to Jim Rohn on a regular basis, they're going to be in the business and more engaged than people who are not. So why are you making your job harder by you're trying to teach your team and you're spending time really teaching and developing your team when you can hand them a tool? This business is about scale. You have to be able to do something that is duplicable, right? That you can replicate several times. So grab one tool that can be shared with everybody and make sure you guys are experts at getting people to listen to that tool or read that book or whatever it is. For me, it's Jim Rohn, Building Your Network Marketing Business. I know I've said it before, and you'll hear me say it a million times if we're around each other. Okay. I always preach it because that's what's going to get people going in the right direction. Okay. So, personal development. I'm going to use an analogy to kind of help drive this message home just because, I can talk about it, but I think visuals help. Okay. And the way I'm going to give you guys these visuals is with a story that I heard many, many years ago, decades ago. And I've owned that story. I have it. I've made it my own. And I'm going to share it with you guys today. Okay. So, what does personal growth look like? This is the way you guys have to see it. Okay. So, when you guys are building your business, this is the visual that I was given, and I have it in my mind, and it's clear. So, imagine this bowl, right? This fish bowl, and you're putting people into this fishbowl. The fishbowl could be Usana, right? And the hole that you see on that could be fear, doubt, whatever, fallout, whatever the case may be. But if you guys look in this bowl, you have fish that are falling out, right? The goal is to have food, and that's the food is the personal development, building their mindset, building their skills, building them up as individuals. When you put that type of food into your fish tank, what happens? When you feed fish, they grow. Okay. And eventually they grow so big that you need to get a different bowl, right? But my point is, if you don't feed them, they're small and they're small enough to fall through that crack. That's the example that I'm giving. When you feed them enough, they're so big that they can never fit through that hole. That's what you're trying to do. You can't really plug that hole. So the idea is to build your fish big enough so they don't fall through. That's what you're trying to do. So personal development, building the mindset, building the skills. I remember my mentor when I first started working with USANA. He said this. He goes, "Hey, Mike, like, you're getting people involved. What's the hardest part about this?" I said, "Keeping people in." He goes, "Well, how can people want to work with you if they don't even want to be like you? They don't want to. They can't learn anything from you." So I'm like, okay, note taken, right? So the idea is that you have to be that person that can feed people mindset, skills, belief, and vision all the time, or use a tool, like I said, like Jim Rohn, to feed that vision. So hopefully this makes sense. Oftentimes you'll see that people, even if they fall out, I show that little fish that's kind of trying to jump back in. So I've had some people come back and try to come back into the business after a while. But unless you guys master this, you're always going to have people falling out. It's inevitable, right? So feed them that personal development, feed them those skills, and that's the way to help retain. Okay, so how personal development builds retention? It builds belief, it builds purpose in the business, it helps partners overcome fear and doubt. A lot of times it's a lot of fear and doubt that ends up taking new associates, right? It's just they're afraid. They don't know what to expect. They doubt themselves. They're doubting the industry. They're doubting the company. They're doubting the product. They're doubting themselves. All this doubt, but you can be there to be that bridge. And feeding them personal development is going to help partners overcome that fear and doubt. Creates a deeper emotional connection to the journey. That's big too. Sometimes people are like, yeah, I'm in it because I need money, or I'm in it because I want to quit my job. Sure, that's fine. But the more you start developing personal growth, personal development, you'll see like their emotional intelligence grows too. And now they start seeing, wait a minute, it's not just about me. It's about how can I serve others, right? Jim Rohn preaches that philosophy a lot in his audio. He says, if you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. So there you go. You have to help others get what they want, and then you can have what you want too. So creating a deeper emotional connection to the journey. For me at this point, if you think about it, nobody on this call is on my team, right? But I'm just as excited to help you guys as I am excited to help people that are on my team. The reason why is because I feel like if you guys win, we all win, right? Everybody wins, right? Our company grows, the business grows, our stock rises, like all of these things are happening. People's health is being improved. The world is becoming a better place as a result of everybody working at this. It encourages long term vision over short term frustration. There's always going to be frustration. Believe me, even for me at this point, there's times where I get frustrated with things. But if you focus on that long term vision, that's the goal. All of this is accomplished through personal development. I'm summing it up in a very small way because I want you guys to take something from this, right? I want you guys to be able to say, okay, what do I need to do? Am I focused? Is the culture and my team a personal development culture? Yes or no? Like, are people on my team doing personal development daily? If the answer is no, that's your answer right there. That's where you need to work on. Sometimes it's as far as listening to it with them. I remember when we were, first starting out, I drive around to different presentations. I'm sure you guys drive with your team to meetings or trainings or things like that. When you're in the car, what are you listening to? Is it silent? Are you listening to music? No, I wasn't. When I was in the car and we were driving to a meeting, we were listening to Jim Rohn, like full volume. Okay. Like I had it bumped up, like all the way up. And people were like, hey, let's listen to some music or something. And I'm like, no, no, no. When you're in my car, we're listening to Jim Rohn. That's it. So, but it was a good way to get them to start listening to it. And by the time we got there, they were like, you know what? That was pretty good. I'm going to start listening to it on my own. It was that. Make sense? Like building those habits, having a culture of personal growth. When people came to my house and we were exercising or doing whatever, same thing. We're working out, listening to Jim Rohn. We weren't listening to music. Music is not going to do anything for us. But listening to Jim Rohn can make a difference. When we're doing our weekly mastermind call, we're recapping. What did you learn? What did you take from it? What were some things that you're going to apply this week? What were some things that you didn't know? Just that type of thing too, right? So, anyways, don't want to say too much more. I feel like I've kind of made a point here with personal development. If you're on this call right now and you're not following this, retention will be a challenge. It's hard, okay? It's an uphill battle. So please don't just do it yourself, but make sure that your team is doing it too. Okay, tool number 2. All right, so we're moving on. So that was the first one, is personal development. Next is working in teams. Okay. Together we win. So build accountability and healthy pressure. Create a culture of support, encouragement, and shared wins. Okay. Ideas. Small group pods. So let's say you have a group of 10. Pair them up. You two guys are working together this week. You two girls are working together. Pair people up. We used to do little competitions within our own team. And we used to say, okay, we have these 10 people. All right, U5 and U5 working together. Whoever sells the most CVP this week, SVP, whoever sells the most sales volume this week, the one team is going to buy dinner for the other team. We would do stuff like that, and everybody would work on that. These are little things that we would do on a regular basis to encourage that culture of support, encouragement, and shared wins. Because sometimes if you're working by yourself, you can quit on yourself, but you might not quit on the team. Let me give you guys an example. Have you ever tried going to the gym by yourself? I've done it, like I'll go there, I'll work out. If I feel a little bit tired, I'll stop. But if you go with 2 people and everybody's working out hard, and it's like, come on, let's do one more, let's push a little bit harder. You're like, okay, like it's encouragement. We all need it. Okay. So it's very important to make sure you guys have a culture of support and encouragement in your team. Also share the wins, right? There's a lot of wins that happen throughout the week. Share those wins. Get people encouraged. Somebody enrolled 2 people, say like that person enrolled 2 people. Hey, what worked for you? What did you do this week differently from last week? Make sense? And that's going to encourage other people to be like, oh my gosh, like I gotta do that, So anywho, I'm going to go back to the fishbowl example. Okay. If you guys look, when you're working together, you can lock arms. In this picture, they're like holding their fins, they're holding each other. Because if one person stops swimming, the other two can pick up the pace. Make sense? And that's the idea. There's going to be some times or some days or weeks where maybe you're going through one, right? When I say you're going through one, it's things are not going well for you. And if that's the case, you need somebody to kind of hold you up for a little bit. That's great. Once you get pumped up again, be there to hold somebody else up if it's not going well. I remember we used to call it the defibrillator. If you guys know, like a defibrillator is when you shock somebody and their heart comes back on. People would come over to my house and be like, Mike, I need the defibrillator. Like, I'm going to quit. I'm going to flatline here. And I'd be like, all right, sit down. And we talk and we just kind of work through stuff. So keep that in mind. Back to the fishbowl example, people will fall out. But if you have people working together, they can help lift each other up, keep people engaged. So how teamwork builds retention. No one feels alone. Faster growth through collaboration. It's always fun and energetic and a sense of belonging when you're working with team members, and more likely to stay when they're connected. Okay. So if you're connected with someone, you're building friendships, you're building bonds, you're building camaraderie. All of these things are excellent. It's the favorite part of the business for me is the teamwork aspect. Think about the people that you've met already in your business. I've met friends literally from all over the world in USANA. Everywhere I go, I seem to know somebody that's in USANA. It's so crazy. Like even traveling to other countries, like I'll post something and someone will say like, hey, I live there. Like come visit, come hang out, come have lunch. And I'm like, oh, cool. So it's really nice. Like that type of value is something that many jobs cannot offer you. Many other businesses cannot offer you. So this is something that makes us different and unique is the ability to build with teamwork. Obviously, it builds retention, but it's also just a very, very cool thing about our industry. Okay, I'm going to move on. Last one, tool number 3, okay? Recognition. Catch people winning, okay? People stay when they feel seen and celebrated. Recognition breeds confidence and loyalty. So what are some methods to do recognition? Social media shout outs.
So,
I like those.
Michael,
I'll
if I can
yeah,
stop you for a second because
yeah.
one of our key founder leaders, Ruchi Vimal sir is raising his hand. Vimal sir, आपका question है कि गलती से आता है? You want to ask something? No. Okay. Sorry, I thought he had a question. So you can move ahead, Michael. Sorry for that.
Okay. No, you're good. You're good.
That's fine.
So social media shout outs, like if somebody in your team got promoted, shout it out on social media. And some people think, yeah, but not everybody on my social media is a part of USANA. Doesn't matter. If anything, that's a good thing because you're prospecting people. People are like, hey, what's going on? I saw you posted something about somebody hit believer, director, somebody got promoted in your business, whatever it is, post about it. Shout it out. That's a big thing. It's going to help you enroll more people, but it's also going to help retain people. Once again, people love it when they're seen and celebrated. Team calls. When you do your team call, do you guys do recognition? We would do team calls every single week, and we would highlight the wins, celebrate the promotions, all of that. It got to the point where we didn't do it with everybody in the group. So now I do smaller groups, breaking it down. But still, we do rising stars, whoever got promoted, whoever got an accomplishment that week, do it team calls. And then monthly milestone awards. USANA is doing a great job of that right now in recognizing. They have their own recognition. Obviously, you guys have this incentive right now with the bonus. They're doing stuff like that. But if somebody made their first paycheck, their first sale, celebrate it. It's a small win, but it's a win. Believe me. It might even be more impressive than somebody who made $10,000 because people can relate to it. Somebody's like, oh, they made their first sale. What was it? Their first rank, their first commission? Awesome. Small wins are very, very effective. Okay. But celebrate those small wins, recognize them. All right. So let's move back into the fish example, right? I went to a lake once, right? And when I was at the lake, it was at night, we're kind of just hanging out. and we had flashlights. It was very dark. But what I did is I put the flashlight in the water. And when I put the flashlight in the water, it was very interesting to see what the fish would do. The fish would come up, they would swim to the top of the water, and they want to see what's going on. So, in this example, same thing, right? If you want to retain people, you don't want people swimming by the bottom of the hole, right? Flash the type, flash the light on top, and that's going to keep fish at the top, looking up, always trying to see what that light is. You want to keep them in that limelight. I think that's important. So recognition is something that you can do in your team. You can do it with crossline members. The company obviously does recognition, things of that sort. So use that as a tool for retention. So how recognition builds retention, we're going to wrap it up right here and we'll do a Q&A. But it validates the effort before big results. Sometimes you don't have big results, but if you're recognizing that effort, you're saying this is what leads to big results. Does that make sense? Because people are saying, well, it's only a $20 commission, not a big deal. Doesn't matter, but this is the type of result. What if you had 5 people in your team making a $20 commission? What if you had 10 people in your team making a $20 commission? That's going to change things. So makes people feel important and appreciated. Recognition is fuel when results are still small, and it builds a culture where everyone matters. Everybody does matter. I'll give you guys another thing that people don't recognize too much. Sometimes just bringing a prospect to an event, recognize that. You know, John brought 5 prospects last week. Let's recognize John. John shows up early to every presentation and training. Let's recognize John. John takes notes at every training. Let's recognize John. That type of thing. Recognize the behavior that you want to see in your team. It's obviously going to build retention, but it's also going to help you guys build momentum because you're recognizing the behaviors that you want to see in your business. So keep all of that in mind. So quick recap. We'll go ahead and go over this. The mind, once stretched by a new idea, never returns to its original size. So hopefully your mind has stretched a little bit and you can see a little bit more clearly on how retention works. The whole fishbowl is our team. You know, that's your thing. The whole is doubt, discouragement, why people leave, distractions, right? The fish are our team members, feeding, personal development, books, events, calls, challenges. Big fish stay because they grow strong, confident. If we don't feed them, they shrink, lose belief, and fall out. That's really what it comes down to, okay, when you're building retention in your business. So thanks a lot. Hopefully that helped you guys a little bit. We'll do a Q&A now. I'm sure there's going to be questions. We can go through some examples, some cases, whatever the case may be. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a fish full of healthy sized growing fish. And then you can grow it from there, okay? So I'll turn it back over to you. We'll do a Q&A. And thanks a lot for your time, guys.
Thank you so much, Michael. And I think it's so enriching, this fishbowl theory, because many times, as you said, listening to Jim Rohn or listening to the audio visuals, it keeps a top of the mind recall for a longer period. Similarly, this fishbowl theory will be in our minds for a long time, at least minds, and we would try to duplicate it for sure. And I would encourage our ब्रांड पार्टनर्स ऑन द कॉल, जितने भी लोग हैं कॉल के ऊपर, अगर आपका कोई भी क्वेश्चन है प्लीज़ चैट बॉक्स पे टाइप करें. एंड अगर किसी को हाथ खड़ा करना है, इमोजी में हाथ खड़ा करें, मैं उनको अनम्यूट कर सकता हूँ एंड दे कैन आस्क क्वेश्चंस इफ समवन इज देयर. बिकॉज सी इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट प्लेटफॉर्म. माइकल इज देयर ऑल द वे. एंड ये जगह होती है, ये प्लेटफॉर्म होता है जहाँ पे आपके मन में कुछ भी है, यू कैन आस्क फ्रॉम हिम, एंड विद हिज एक्सपीरियंस ही विल डेफिनेटली गाइड अस. So any question, if you want to type on the chat box. Okay. As of now, I don't have any question, Michael, in the chat box, but waiting for some, if someone is there. That means everyone is very, very clear about, retaining their team members. Hopefully.
I mean, honestly, like sometimes I feel, we can ask questions, but the truth is it's simple, right? If it's simple and it's clear,
yeah,
then we all know what we need to do. Like
absolutely.
I feel like when I was working in the corporate world, we used to do like, like calls and meetings and all this stuff. And I remember we would sit in these meetings for so long. And at the end, nobody remembered anything. And it was like we were the same as when we walked in. There was literally nothing that we needed to do. There was no call to action. What I'm saying is it's a simple message: personal development, teamwork, recognition. Get to it, right? Like that's all you have to do. Literally, get on it right away. Start now. Makes sense? Like don't wait for tomorrow. No need for that. You can start doing personal development today, literally. Even here's another thing too. Like I know I talked about personal development like with your team, but even with yourself, like, are you doing personal development? All the time. I still do it, literally listening to audiobooks every day. I'm better at listening to audiobooks than I am reading, just because I'm moving around a lot, traveling, whatever. As I'm showering in the morning, I'm listening to an audiobook. Driving somewhere, listening. I was on a 2.5 hour flight to Cancun. Listen to something there, listen to something on the way back. I'm completing at least 4 or 5 books, okay, every
I
year,
agree.
minimum. Okay.
And
So
this is something which I would like to really highlight, Michael. How many years you've been with Usana now? Almost
this is 20 years this year.
20 years. The
20
three-star,
years. You can
20 years,
imagine.
3-star diamond, still sticking to the basics of listening to those
Basics.
audios, still listening those books, still, upgrading yourself. I think this is something which people need to stick to, at times, maybe, this is my understanding. I have observed few times that as we grow in the ladder, we stop, working on the basics ourselves.
Yeah.
So,
There is a question in the chat. Okay,
yeah.
I'll answer this one. It says, give some highlights on after 3 to 4 months, brand partners, not all, but few, are non-active and don't respond. Okay. So let me tell you something. A lot of times it's called, there's this video that I saw on YouTube. It's called the missing tile. Okay. The missing tile. So, and it talks about this guy who's at work and he's looking up at, like at the ceiling. And at a ceiling, they have tiles, right? There's like squares that's filling the ceiling. And as he's looking up, he notices that one tile is missing. And his focus is there on the missing tile. There's tiles everywhere, but there's one missing one. Okay. And then he goes out and he's thinking about the tile that was missing. Then he was losing his hair. He was balding, right? So he's noticing, he's looking around, and sure enough, guess what? He notices that there's a lot of bald people. What I'm getting at is you're gonna notice what's happening to you. Like you're recognizing that doubt, you're recognizing what's missing in something else. It's part of personal development. You need to start recognizing the positivity. Notice the other tiles that are there. Notice the positivity in the world, right? So back to your question about some highlights on brand partners, non-active people. It's going to be hard to get everybody to stay. Focus on the ones that are there. Okay. And oftentimes that's the best way to get the ones that have fallen out or not responded to come back. Take a note of that. Okay. I'll give you guys a perfect example. There's somebody in my team that I remember they started and they quit. Okay. Did nothing. Okay. Did nothing for 6 months or so. I signed up somebody else because I couldn't wait for that person to do something. So I enrolled somebody else and put it under them. Sure enough, that person ended up hitting gold director underneath the person that I had enrolled that did nothing. What do you think happened? I was texting them all the time and calling them saying, hey, there's someone under you that just made $4,000 last month. Somebody under you made more money than you. They were like, how? Show me. And I'm like, I thought you understood how the business worked. See, they don't get it. Make sense? Even though they signed up, even though they joined, that doesn't necessarily mean they understand the compensation plan. A lot of people don't understand the compensation plan and they signed up. So I explained it to them. This is how, right and left, da da da. Explained everything to them. I'm like, half the work is done for you already. And they're like, okay, I want to come back. There you go. Anyways, that person ended up hitting gold director too, which was nice. But the point I'm trying to make is help the people that are there. If you focus on the ones that are there, the people that fall out oftentimes will come back. Okay. Now, here's another thing too. And this is the tip for the person who asked the question, Balar, right?
Bharat Balar. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bharat Balar. Here's something that's interesting. When you're working in this business, we talked about teamwork, right? That was the second part of retention. When you're talking to people, sometimes we're so focused, we're so locked in on building the business that we're saying things like, hey, are you coming to the meeting? Okay, I'll see you there. Are you coming to the training? I'll see you there. Did you sign somebody up? No? Okay, sign somebody up. Did you get a customer? And that's all we talk about. That's all we talk about. We never talk about, hey, how are you? Make sense? Hey, let's hang out. Let's go watch a movie. Forget USANA for one moment. Let's spend time. Let's connect. People will stop answering your call if you only call them when you need something. Okay? So keep that in mind. It's important. And I know we're all focused on building the business and we're aggressive and we're trying to grow, but sometimes you got to go slow to go fast. Go slow to go fast. Because if not, you're going to start losing people. Not everybody is like dialed in at level 10, right? You got to be able to say, hey, like, let's go have coffee. And maybe while you're having coffee, the person who helps you, you prospect them, show them how to do it. Don't tell them to do it, show them how to do it. Make sense? Maybe you're doing an invite call when you're with your person. Say, hey, sorry, we're going to have coffee. I just got to invite somebody real quick. Invite. And say, okay, forget it. Okay, no more business there. And then when you're driving, personal development. Make sense? But spend time with people on a social level, not just on a business level, because then people tune out. You only call when you need something. Think about you, right? Do you have a friend like that only calls you when they need something? When you see their phone call, what do? You send them to voicemail, okay? Because you already know they want something. Don't be that person, okay? All right. There's another question that says, Shyam asked,
Sham.
how do you
Sham.
identify? I'm sorry. How do you say it? I'm sorry.
Sham.
Sham. My apologies.
No worries.
Sham. So Sham says, how do you identify early signs that a team member might quit? What are some steps you take to re-engage them? I think from the moment you come in, there's a saying, okay? And I think it's a good one to learn and adopt. It's called an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You have to assume that people are going to fall out from day one, from minute one. Okay? It's kind of like our own health, right? Are we trying to fix it or are we trying to prevent something from happening? The goal is to prevent disease, not cure disease, right? So same thing with our people. Somebody joins, the early sign that somebody might quit is it's automatic. It's automatic. Like from the moment somebody joins, automatically you know that the retention is they're not going to stay, okay, unless there's a reason to stay. So the way I identify is I ask them questions. What are some personal development things that you're listening to, reading, or doing right now? What are some things that you're doing to build up your mental strength right now? What are some things that you're doing? How are you working on yourself? For Shyam, ask them that question. Like, how are you working on yourself right now? What are you reading? What are you listening to? If they say nothing, that's a sign. That's a sign that that person's going to quit in the next 24 hours because they don't have personal development. They're a small fish. Anybody who doesn't do personal development is a small fish. They're going to fall out of that hole so fast. That's the sign. If they're listening to personal development already, great. What are you listening to? Why are you listening to that? Awesome. Let me give you a tool that I think will help you in this particular industry. Hopefully that helps, Sham. All right. So somebody says, which is a good to grow mindset? I'm not sure I understand that question. This is from Niti. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I didn't understand the question, basically.
Yeah, hopefully we can. If you can retype your question to get more clarity on it, we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can move to the
So yeah,
next question from Pawan. Pawan, What mindset should a new associate adopt to become a six-figure earner in USANA? What mindset?
I think it's a personal development mindset for sure, always improving. There's a philosophy that's really good, and the mentor that signed me up, it was his philosophy. It didn't come from him, but he adopted it. It's called Kaizen. Kaizen.
Yeah.
Kaizen. If you guys look up Kaizen mindset, it's from the Japanese. Okay. After World War II, the Japanese were devastated, obviously, right? There was Hiroshima, there was a lot of turmoil in the world. And somehow Japan rebounded from that. And they started building cars. And when they started building cars, think about it. Ford and Chevy were the titans. They were at the top of the list. And here comes Toyota and Honda making little cars, tiny cars, all this. But they had the philosophy Kaizen, which stands for constant improvement. You don't have to be great overnight. Just get better constantly. How can we improve this? How can we improve this? Now we're looking at other companies that are focusing on this Kaizen mentality. I think Tesla is a good example. It's just how do we make it better? How do we make it faster? How do we make it cheaper? How do we make it's like constant improvement? And now it's integrated into software, right? Think about Apple. Do you think they're sitting around saying your iPhone's good already? No, no, no. They're saying, how can we make it better? Okay. How can we make it better? How can we make it faster? How can we make your phone easier to use? I think that's important. Okay. I'll give you guys one little example, one little story about my mentor. Okay, so when I first got started, I remember I would go to if you guys are familiar with the way the US looks, California is where I live, right? So California, a city that's at the south is Los Angeles, and a city that's to the north is San Francisco. Okay. The distance between the two cities is about 400 miles. I don't know how many kilometers, but 400 miles. Okay. It's far. To drive, it takes about 6, 7 hours to drive. I would drive up there because I had a team member who signed up in San Francisco. So I would drive from Los Angeles to San Francisco once every week to go do presentations for 2 days and then go home because I couldn't afford to stay there. I didn't have money to stay in a hotel all week. So I had to come home. I remember this one time, I went up there and I was doing presentations, right? And I checked my bank account because I was, I had to pay for gas and all that, right? I checked my bank account and I tried to withdraw money from the ATM, and I couldn't withdraw money. And then I said, check balance. And I saw the balance and it said $140. And I was like, why can't I pull out money? And then I noticed that in front of the 140, there was a little minus. I was negative 140. Okay. And I was like, oh my God, I had no money. Okay. I was completely broke. I was negative at the time. So what I did was I called my upline. Okay. The person that enrolled me, right? And I was like, hey, listen, I'm doing presentations right now and I'm working at this. So I need a favor. I need you to let me borrow $200 so that I can deposit in my account and get gas in my car so that I could come back home. And he goes, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And I was like, can you help me out? And he goes, let me tell you this. What doesn't kill you will make you stronger. And I was like, okay, thank you. But can I have the $200, please? He didn't give it to me. I was so upset because I was thinking this, you make money off what I do. So you owe me. That is not a good mindset. Make sense? That's a mindset of I deserve this. No. You're expecting it. Okay. No. Okay. It's an entitlement thing. Absolutely not. So I remember that day. Let me tell you what I did. I had no money. I was stuck. Okay. In my wallet, though, I did have some cash. Okay. I had about $10. And I took my $10 and I went to a store in San Francisco. It was over in Burlington. It's a little city close by San Francisco. And the store is called the 99-cent store. Okay. The 99-cent store, as you can imagine, is a store where everything costs 99 cents. Yeah. I went into the store with my $10 and they were selling. I don't know if you guys know what this chocolate is. It's a popular chocolate here in America. It's a Kit Kat. Do you guys know what a Kit Kat bar is? A Kit Kat bar is like this. Those bars, if you go to the gas station, they probably cost like $3 or $4, maybe $5. They're the king size Kit Kats. But at the 99-cent store, they were selling them for $1. So I took my $10 and I bought 10 giant Kit Kat bars. And I went to the it's a place called Fisherman's Wharf, Pier 39. It's right where the water is. Okay, a lot of people walking there every day. And I stood there. I was in my suit. Okay, I was in my suit and I stood there and I said, "Would you buy a chocolate bar? Please help me. I have a business and it's not going well. I need help. Can you buy a chocolate bar, please, please?" I ended up selling my 10 chocolate bars for $50 total. I went back and I bought 25 more. I went back, sold them, and there were people who said, "I don't want the chocolate. Here's $10. Good luck. Go help." Because they saw how motivated I was. They saw how committed I was. And they're like, "Hey, you're a young man. I hope you become successful." They saw me in a suit. No shame, no ego. Make sense? Another mindset that will help is, remember this: your ego is not your amigo. Your ego is not your amigo. Your ego is the most expensive thing you'll ever own. If you have that, you'll be broke. Okay? At the end of it all, I had over $150 from selling the chocolate bars. I put the money in my account, I put gas, and I drove home. Let me tell you something. You know what I learned that day? I learned how tough I was. I learned how strong I was and that I was not going to quit no matter what. That was a breaking point. Most people would have just said, "Forget it, quit." Make sense? And if my upline would have given me the money, you know what? I wouldn't have developed the mental strength at that time. So I'm saying all of this because back to the question of what type of a mindset do you need? You need an unshakable character is what you need.
Yeah.
But the only way you're going to do that is if you don't ask for people to solve your problems for you. You need to solve your own problems. You need to figure stuff out. Hopefully that helps you with that question. I don't want to go off on a tangent there.
Thanks. I think Niti asked which books are good to grow mindset. The question she was asking.
Good books to grow. Jim Rohn. There's a book called Cultivating an Unshakable Character by Jim Rohn. Highly recommend it. Another one, an audio set called Challenge to Succeed by Jim Rohn. Amazing. When I first started, they didn't have it on digital download. The only way you can get it is if you bought it on cassette. And I didn't have a cassette player in my car. So I bought a radio that had a cassette player and I put it in my car so I could listen to it. I kid you not. People would say, "Why do you have a cassette player in your car, like a little boombox?" And I'm like, "Because I'm trying to listen to this." No excuses. No ego. Most people say, "Oh, that's embarrassing." I couldn't afford to be embarrassed. Okay.
Yeah. And I think the last question, Michael, looking into the time thing, Sandeep is asking what an ideal roadmap to success pattern, system, or onboarding process would you recommend to new USANA brand partners to follow in first 90 days or 12 weeks?
I always say builder, director, silver. Builder, director, silver. Your first 90 days. Immediately, the goal is to hit builder because you guys have the same ranks, right? Like builder.
Yeah, same.
Okay. So the reason why is because builder can be accomplished without having to enroll somebody. You can sell enough product to hit builder if you're motivated. If I can sell chocolate bars at the pier, you can sell the best product in the world. Okay. So it's possible. You can do it hitting builder without enrolling anybody. And then how do you hit director? You help 2 people hit builder. That's how you hit director. How do you hit silver? You help 2 people hit director, or you help 4 people hit builder. Do you guys see how it goes? So that's the plan. Make sense? Builder, director, silver. That's it. Once you get to the point where you have that habit in your team and people are building builders, think of it this way. Let's say you have 4 legs. I don't know if it works the same. Does the binary work the same way? Okay.
Same way. But the only thing is the sales volume point, the repurchase is 35 SVP here in India. Versus
Okay. But you have 3
Yeah.
business centers, yeah?
Yeah, 3 business centers.
Okay. So let's say, for example, if you have 1 builder in each leg getting promoted, do the math and see how much money you make. Here, if you have builders like that, if you have 4 builders, a builder to hit builder, somebody has to generate, at least 1,000 points, at least 1,000 points. So maybe up to 2,000 points if they're doing it with 1 business center. But my point is 1,000 points on each leg. What does that mean for you? Make sense?
Yeah.
If you're doing 1,250 points, that means that you made $1,000. Helping 4 people make $200 makes you $1,000. There you go. Make sense? What if you help 4 people hit director? That makes you $3,000. See, this is not rocket science. Make sense? It really comes down to just helping people get what they want, and you can get what you want. So I would say builder, director, silver.
Correct.
I have people asking me for money to help support their business. They assume I'm paying for everything because I'm their upline. I just covered that. Okay. No. Okay. If you're their upline and they're asking you for money, you have a business that makes money. You have to remember, it's not about giving them a fish. It's about teaching them how to fish. Don't do that. If my upline would have given me money when I was struggling, maybe I wouldn't be here today. So no, the idea is to say you don't need money. What you need is skills. You need mindset. You need skills. You need a strategy. Because even giving you money right now, it's going to fix the problem right now. But what happens next week? I have to fix the problem next week and next week and next. No. Don't teach. Jim Rohn talks. See, you guys got to listen to Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn says, if a kid, let's say your child, says, "Can I have $10?" He goes, "No." The question is, how can I earn $10? And he says, "Okay, go cut the grass." Okay, perfect. Here's your $10. Make sense? Like, it has to be earned. The life responds to deserve, not to need. You got to learn how to deserve the $10. Everybody needs money. Not everybody deserves it. Okay? So keep that in mind. All right, guys? And it's not to be mean. It's just because you're trying to help them. The goal is to help them. And by giving them money, you're not helping them. You're hurting them because you're always going to be carrying them around for the rest of their life. It's not sustainable. Okay, guys, don't want to say too much more about that.
Perfect. Michael, I think we'll call it the day, and such an amazing session. It's always, from your end, because it's full of experience. What comes from
For
you
sure.
is completely experience. And if you, अगर आप सब लोगों को you like this, conversation with Michael, please give lots of thumbs up or hearts so that we can invite him again. We would like to see it in the chat box or something if you really like Michael coming again. So Michael, this is all for you. And personally ask me, it's very enriching, this fishbowl theory. And I do have a topic in my mind for the next session with the conversation which you completed in the last. I have a topic and we'll be discussing it with Carolyn, and we'll invite you again. And
Okay, for sure, man. Look forward to it.
People would definitely love to hear it back from you. And thank you everyone for connecting. But I would only recommend one thing. Please take one thing back home, whether it be, reading Jim Rohn, listening to Jim Rohn, whether building on the fishbowl theory, celebrating small wins, empowering your downlines by not helping them, but by, building them. So lot many things, Michael. Really encouraging, really empowering. And thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No worries, guys. Take care. Have a good one. Good luck out there. Make it happen.
See you. And thank you everyone for connecting. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.